All right, welcome everybody to the Connection Hangout. Tonight is the Doctor's Connection. Now, as usual, I'm joined by my co-host there in Marietta, Georgia, David Asarno. How's it going, David? It feels like it's been years since we've been on the same show together.
I know, it does seem that way. I guess between our travel schedules.
Yes, you all now. You were able to drop off your daughter in college. She's all rocking over there. Everything all settled in.
Everything's all settled in, and classes have started, and all that fun stuff. All
right, fantastic. Well, we wish her very much success. I want to give people a heads up out there that this Connection Hangout, this is not an ASEA business presentation, nor is it a product seminar, if you will. What we do is we connect to real people, getting real results, and helping you to get results by connecting you to industry professionals, corporate executives, celebrities, athletes, medical professionals, as we will be doing tonight. If you would like more information on ASEA or the technology that it represents, I'd encourage you to get back to the person who invited you to be on this Hangout as soon as we're finished, and they'll be more than happy to provide you with additional information. Now, if you have any questions or just like to say hi, right beneath the screen here in the comment section, go ahead and type hello where you're viewing from. We'd love to hear from you. And without further ado, let me go ahead and jump right into it and introduce tonight's special guest. Dr. Foster Malmed has over 3 decades of experience as a doctor of chiropractic and as a certified applied kinesiologist. He is one of a select few chiropractors in the country to have a practice in a hospital. He's a member of the American Chiropractic Association, member of the International Chiropractic Association, member of the New York State Chiropractic Association, diplomat of the Chiropractic Board of Examiners. Hey, Foster, did you know all this stuff?
Terry told me.
Okay, very good. I just want to make sure you were aware of it. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Foster Malmed.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
All right. Fantastic. Welcome. Now, first off tonight, again, we're going to center around this, the amazing Science Council and Medical Professionals Board. But I'd like to just start off with the recent announcement of one of the, or what we would refer to as a scientific founder of ASEA, the technology, Dr. Gary Samuelson, getting back to his research roots. Can you just maybe take a couple of minutes to summarize Dr. Samuelson's contributions to ASEA in honor of him?
Absolutely. So he is one of my dear friends, and as sad as I am that he's moving on with his career, I am so happy for him. His roots were certainly not in salt and water and electrochemistry. That's not where his roots were, and he was actually almost a little insulted when they brought this idea to him in the first place. His roots were in nanotechnology and looking for novel cures for cancer through nanotechnology using gold particles and silver particles and platinum particles. And he and I have talked about this exhaustively, and it's fascinating research, another way of looking at how to help the body rid itself of what shouldn't be there. And it involves microwaving humans and just amazing stuff. And some people just don't know is his, he's such a humble guy. Nobody knows that that's where he came from. He'll tell you the story. He helped invent hair and was inventing hair for bald men. Fascinating stories.
Well, nanotechnology.
Exactly. So just incredible nanotechnology. And then he walks into this thing that was purely, according to him, it was Providence that, I think it was Nancy Tennell, Vertus Norton's daughter, moved next door to the Samuelsons, and that's how the connection was made, and that's how, I don't know whether it was divine intervention, Providence, Kismet, whatever it was, but that's how we got Dr. Gary on our team. And, remember that the technology was already there, the product just wasn't stabilized. So Dr. Gary led the team of scientists and physicists and researchers, and they figured out the missing pieces for how to get this from living for 10 minutes to how to get it to live in a bottle for more than a year. So his contribution to the world will be known for, I think, centuries. I think the greatest medical discoveries for the next several decades are going to be based on this technology that he was instrumental in bringing to the world. So there are lots of people that I know who owe their lives to him and owe the lives of sometimes people who aren't even born yet to him. So my hat is always off to him. I am honored to call him my friend and my colleague, and I will watch every single second of what he does because it's going to be big, and it's only going to help ASEA as people see the person who stabilized ASEA is now doing big things around the globe. So I'm so excited for him. Wow.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And from from an associate perspective, being able to be educated and learn all these amazing things about the technology and redox signaling, and seeing Dr. Gary too he is part of our family. So, and I think he probably stayed as long as he did because of that relationship that he had formed with the associates, and everyone loved him and wanted him to be educating their people all over the place. But again, even though as much as he loved us as our culture and the associates, I think there was that inkling inside of him to continue on and do the things that he was involved with, and the other things that he wanted to have his hands in as a researcher and as a scientist. But it was really neat to see him evolve. From the very first meetings, I went in October of 2009, and he would get on the stage, and sometimes you couldn't hear him. They'd say, "Oh, can you please speak up?" because he was really quiet and not very extroverted. And I was talking to Sue a little bit ago, and we were reminded of an event up in Park City after I think it was a metabolites study had been released, and he was so excited, and he ran up on stage, and he was like, "Now what do you think of me?" And it was really awesome to see him with such emotion and such passion to say, finally, science is, the rest of the scientific community is getting, where we're coming from. So it's been really neat to see the evolution there. And yes, while he'll be missed, he's always going to be connected, I think, to all of us through our hearts.
I absolutely concur. And, one of my favorite memories with Dr. Gary was about my first one. And I was blessed to be sitting at a table with a bunch of diamonds. I think I was a bronze back then with Terry, and Gary was across the table, and I said to Gary, excuse me, why do you think you got to be the one to bring this technology to the world? And he didn't answer me. And I thought he didn't hear me. And everybody hears me. And I went to ask the question again, and he said, "Oh, I heard you." And he said, and he told me the story about how he had been offered another huge position that everybody would know of, and I'll keep his sort of secret. He can tell the story, or maybe it'll be in his memoirs. But he was offered a huge job, and he wasn't sure if he should take it because it was going to be a big move for his family, a huge move. And he didn't know what to do. So he said he prayed, and he asked his maker about what it was that he should do, because he just didn't know whether he should make that big a change in his life, even though it was his dream. And his wife met Nancy Tunnell, and he met Vertus Norton, and he sort of laughed at Vertus Norton and looked at a couple of studies and said, "Okay, I'll look at more." And he looked at more and he said, "Okay, I'm going to do this with you." And I said, "So from the time that you were made the offer and prayed until the time that you accepted the offer for ASEA, how long was that?" And he said, 2 weeks. So he knew that there was a much bigger hand involved in him being a part of our company, and we all agree. So that was my first meeting with him, and we've had many since, and he's just the most amazing, altruistic, and the most brilliant person I've ever spoken with, present company accepted.
Well, he's gonna.
I'm talking to David.
Yeah. He's gonna. It's not gonna be the last time. Obviously, he's part of the ASEA family, and he's created some unbelievably life-changing technologies. He was involved in stabilizing ASEA. I can only imagine the great things that he's going to develop. So Dr. Foster, let's talk a little bit back going forward. So ASEA now has a science council as well as a medical professionals board, and you're part of it. As a member of the medical professionals board, can you share some insights and info about the two groups and maybe summarize a little bit about the responsibilities?
Okay, so we have two separate and distinct groups. So we have the Science Advisory Council, and that's made of Brooke Alpert, who is a dermatology specialist, and she's very well known. She's been on TV a lot. She's been in lots of magazines, lots of print, and she's local here in New York. So she's very well known. We have Dr. Maffei, who's from Italy, who's actually a researcher. He's a clinical researcher, and he's worked with formulating nutraceuticals and pharmaceuticals in multinational companies. And his specialty is mitochondrial function, which is, I hope all of you know on this Hangout, that's exactly where redox signalers are made. So he's going to be a huge boon to our company. And we also have Dr. Stolman, who's a medical doctor dermatologist. Lots and lots of credentials. She's in Utah now, but she started out graduating NYU. That's New York University, where we hail from. So we are in great hands with that Science Advisory Council. And you throw in there Dr. Rob Ward, who is formerly on the Science Council and now our third-party sort of strategic alliance at theredoxdoc.com. You have those four people together, and you know you're in amazing hands. You know, Gary would not have done this had he not been very confident that this company was in great hands scientifically. So now with bioagilitics and NSF and GMP and FDA certification and Stevens' associates and Dermatest and these doctors and specialists, we are in phenomenal hands. You know, Dr. Gary's job was stabilize the product and let's validate it for the world, and he did his job in spades. So that's the Science Advisory Council. The medical board, we around the country, and there's Sean Burke, who has a very large physical therapy clinic and called With Performance. There's Dr. Maureen Hayes, who's double board certified. There's Carl Smith, a chiropractor, myself, a chiropractor, David Silverman, former podiatrist, now professional network marketer, and Dr. Stan Gardner, who's a very well-known medical doctor, very highly praised, just a really, really smart guy. So we're all associates. So our job is, we're part of the marketing department. So our job is to take the new science, whatever comes out, whatever comes to us, and figure out, I think, the best way to frame it in a marketing viewpoint and how it is we can help make this company grow through research.
I think that's a great concept and idea because it's one thing to understand how the science and the technology works, but it's another to put it in practice in real life and to see the response. I mean, how many patients alone do you think you have directly there, Dr. Foster, on the product?
Hundreds and hundreds. And
yeah.
you know, that's the beauty. You know, people say, you know, how do you get that maniacal passion for the product? Just put 100 people on it, and you're going to have a lot of people hugging you and crying on you and laughing with you and saying, how can I ever repay you? You just keep sharing it. So hundreds and hundreds, no question, and it's just been such a blessing.
Fantastic. Little side note, as we talk about real people and real results, Dr. Giuseppe Maffi he's in Italy, lives in Italy, and when he was out for a last convention, got to jump out of an airplane with him.
Cool.
So he's got a great sense of adventure too, but really, really great guy, very, very well respected. Wherever he goes, he brings high accolades of respect, and just the fact that, like you said, his sort of forte and specialty is in the area of mitochondria makes him a huge asset to our Science Council. Absolutely.
Now it's good to know that he and I actually have at least one thing in common.
You jumped out of a perfectly good aircraft in mid-flight. All right. Well, speaking of science, there's a lot of studies and information that was released at convention. Now that you've had a few months to absorb and share this info in the real world and real-world applications, what study or bodies of information you think have been the most impactful, and how have you been using them in your day-to-day activities?
Okay, so bioagilitics was really important to me because it gave us the same validation that the pharmaceutical companies use to validate their products to the medical doctors. What's fascinating is medical doctors have no idea who bioagilitics is. And that's funny. So it's a very cool thing to say, what do you mean you don't know bioagilitics? They're the ones who certify your stuff. They certified our stuff. They don't know that. So it's all very interesting. So that was important to me just for validation when I was in the hospital. So the two things that I think were really important were the increased circulation. So anybody who wants anything to heal, whether it's musculoskeletal, whether it's skin, whether it's even systemic if it's closer to the surface, whatever it is, when you're increasing circulation by 49% in 15 minutes or 55% in 4 days, that's amazing. So anything that needs more oxygen and nutrients in circulation, and you rub this stuff over it, and you're going to get things going down to the dermal layer, you're going to see stuff that you're going to be really happy with. So that's an amazing thing, you know, from a practical clinical standpoint, to be able to utilize the product, you know, on a patient who comes in with sore areas, and you use it and they say, how is that so much better so fast? Exactly. Let's go get you signed up to become a customer. But I think, you know, the thing that is, and I know Paul would agree with me, it's about the butt pictures, isn't it, Paul? Okay, so, and I was a big fan of when we had our first medical board meeting. I was the guy saying, stop with the fat lobule pictures. Give us more butt pictures and we'll be a billion-dollar company. So there's an awful lot of people in the United States who weigh a little more than they should, or maybe even more than that. And I think that cellulite is going to be the key to the explosive growth of ASEA. Just need more butt pictures, and I think that this is just going to explode. I'm just so
glad they don't recognize my underwear, you know, because that would be embarrassing.
If you're going in a whole other direction right now, Mr. Tyra.
Check, please.
Well, let's change the direction a little bit and wrap up on the future of the Science Council and Medical Professionals Board. So what do you think it will look like 5 years down the road as more and more people get on board with redox signaling? Besides fat globules or whatever you were saying.
Yeah, sometimes I'm a little sciencey. Okay, so as far as the future of the councils, you know, we haven't had our first meeting yet. That's going to be in October. So I don't know if this is a finite time period like the advisory council is. You know, I've been telling my wife for the last 5 years the reason that they put me on these Hangouts is just because I was early. Because there's going to be way smarter, better people coming along than what I have to offer, and that'll be my pleasure, especially if they're on my team. But in 5 years from now, I think that the whole world is going to look at this in a very different way. I think that our Science Council, I think we're going to have people begging to be on our Science Council. I think we're going to have people begging to be on the Medical Professionals Board. They're going to have to take us away kicking and screaming because I would love to be on the medical board of a billion-dollar company. And so whether that takes a year or 5 years, it doesn't matter. It's so great to know that I've been asked to be a part of this. You know, maybe visionaries, I don't know what it is. You know, maybe just pioneers, maybe people who aren't that smart that have no fear. But whatever it is, in 5 years, this is going to be different. I'm already talking to people who are the heads of self-insured unions and talking about what if we could decrease your healthcare expenses. Would you subsidize your members with something that might ensure that? So we just started talks about that a week ago. So that's my vision for the future, is as employers and self-insured companies start realizing this is actually going to save them money. I think this company is going to look so different 5 years from now. It's going to be such a pleasure to have remembered what it was like 5 years prior and 10 years prior when we were the only ones out there taking guns and arrows to the head called idiots. And they might actually call us pioneering visionaries. So that'll be very cool.
That is, and you know, I can see a shift, and I think everyone, you know, can see the shift in our in society and in the acceptance of doing things that are more preventative, right, more proactive, and so when this completely shifts, everyone's be more and more open to technology like ours, and of course ours is at the most fundamental level and layer, so it should be the first thing that goes in the body. So we are in, you know, everyone here that's comes with us on this journey is in just a phenomenal place.
Absolutely agreed. And Dr. Gary, if you're listening, you have nothing to worry about. We got this.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I want to thank Dr. Foster this evening. It was great education. We had some great memories shared of Dr. Gary Samuelson. Wish him all the best, and I know that he will always be with us, you know, in somewhere or another. And don't be surprised if you see him popping his head in here and there, checking on his baby, because that's what we definitely are to him. And we again wish him all the success in the world. I want to also thank my partner in crime there, David Asarno. Thanks so much, David.
Thank you, Paul, for carrying the torch and always making sure the show goes on.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And be sure to tune in next week. We're going to have it's the first Hangout of the month, so it will be the Corporate Connection. We'll go over a lot of the exciting announcements, and it will be the week before the 2015 Envision Conference. So looking forward to seeing everyone out here in the Las Vegas area. Thanks, everybody. Go out and have a fantastic rest of your evening, rest of the week, and I'll see you later. Take care, everyone. Good night.
Bye-bye.